Why are we silencing all dissenting opinions? When in the history of the world has a censorship ever been done by the good guys? You know, the good guys are the ones doing the censorship. That actually doesn't happen. What are you scared of? You're scared of people being able to make up their own mind? Bobby just released a video, 30-minute video, about who he is that got censored by Facebook, which is just wild. I mean, they're censoring the election stuff, which we know has gone on. Which you know, it is just pretty wild, the world that we live in, where the idea of even free speech and what is it is called into a question all the time.
Welcome back. Senior Republican Commissioner on the Federal Communications Commission, Brendan Carr, accusing Facebook in an X post over the weekend of censoring information again. The fact that Vice President Kamala Harris has failed to connect even one person to the internet, despite leading the administration's $42 billion internet infrastructure plan for over 1,000 days. Facebook labeled this post as, quote, false information from an FCC commissioner, okay? They fact-checked it with the Biden-Harris administration. So then they determine it's false. That label has since been removed. And in a statement to Fox Business, Meta says this, quote, publishes clear rating guidelines for third-party fact-checkers who independently review and rate content. But in this instance, the rating fell outside of those guidelines, and so we have removed it. That means busted. Joining me now is the man himself, Commissioner Brendan Carr. Commissioner, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I want you to walk us through what happened here, because you also have an op-ed in the Journal where you talk about the $42 billion fail of Kamala Harris, the internet infrastructure plan that Harris agreed to lead, and how the Biden-Harris administration recently confirmed that those construction projects will not even begin until next year at the earliest, and in many cases, not until 2026. You write this: instead of focusing on delivering broadband to unserved areas, the administration has used the program to advance a wish list of political goals. Commissioner Carr, tell us more.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. You know, here is the information about Vice President Harris's record that both Facebook and the administration itself don't want the American people to know. In 2021, Vice President Harris agreed to lead the administration's signature $42 billion plan to connect millions of Americans to the internet. Back then, Vice President Harris said we can get the job done today. Well, flash forward to today, it's been now 1,072 days since she took the helm of this program. And as you noted, not one single American has been connected to the internet. Not even a single shovel's worth of dirt has been turned. And calling that out resulted in a now false and debunked fact check. But that's the information that the American people should be having access to right now.
So where's the money? What did they use the money for? Let me guess. They used the money for illegals.
Most of the money is still sitting there. They spent some of it hiring government workers to plan to eventually connect people. So the good news is we can still course correct here. But the problem is, as you noted, they've been pursuing progressive policy goals over the last 1,000 days. So they've adopted implementing regulations that have DEI requirements, a climate change agenda. One state broadband official that's been dealing with the Biden-Harris administration on this says that it has been a chaotic implementation environment, dysfunction, delay. Politico says it's sort of frustration and finger pointing at this point. So it's a real microcosm for some of the concerns that people have.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I said that half facetiously, given the fact that they're using money in FEMA for illegals, according to Karine Jean-Pierre 2 years ago. Look, the conservative watchdog Center for American Rights filed a formal complaint with the FCC, accusing CBS News of distortion for airing that edited answer from Vice President Harris's 60 Minutes interview. Let's talk about this for a second, because I want to show the unedited video that was used to promote the interview, followed by the edited version, which actually aired on 60 Minutes. Watch.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Wow, that is infuriating, Commissioner. Really, when you look at those completely different answers, it's clear that the second answer was actually not even part of the first answer. I mean, they may have actually taken the second answer from a different question and just inserted it in there. What do you want the FCC to do here in terms of CBS's local New York station, WCBS?
Yeah, my FCC colleague, Republican Commissioner Symington, has been very active on this. What he's pointed out is the news distortion rule is a very, very narrow rule at the FCC. In almost every case, it doesn't apply because it could get into sort of editorial decisions that are protected by the First Amendment. But what he said is that CBS should release the transcript. And the reason why this complaint is not frivolous is because the rules say, for instance, the example we've given is if you take an answer to a question that is a yes, and you replace the answer of no from a different question, that's something that would potentially fall within the news distortion rule. My position is I agree with Catherine Harris. She was a former CBS reporter. She has said that she thinks, just as a matter of journalistic practice, CBS should release the transcript. And I think that's right. I don't think this needs to be a federal case because I think CBS should release it, and then that would, inoculate entirely CBS from that FCC complaint.
So they haven't released it. They're staying firm on that. Why not? I mean, why not just put this issue to bed by releasing the transcripts so that everybody can know where that second answer came from?
Well, that's exactly what Catherine Harris said. In fact, she walked through a timeline that showed to be consistent with CBS precedent to do this. I think she noted that she had an interview with President Trump back in 2020 that they ultimately released the full unedited transcript. And so I think she's right, just as a matter of journalistic practice and newsworthiness, that people want to see this. In fact, I know people are reaching out to their local affiliates right now, asking them if they would release that transcript.
So, I mean, what's going on? Is there politics driving things as well here? I mean, we know the FBI has completely become politicized, the CIA politicized, even the DOJ potentially with their, vows to end voter ID. What's going on at the FCC? I mean, the FCC is allowing a nonprofit group funded by George Soros to take control of radio giant Audacy after the company went bankrupt. Odyssey, weeks before the presidential election. How is he able to take over all of these radio stations right before the election? The deal effectively gives the Soros family control of 200 radio stations plus, more than 200.
From hard hats to steel-toed boots, Granger's got your safety needs covered.
Yeah, this is really concerning. This decision by the commission is,
These radio stations right before the election. The deal effectively gives the Soros family control of 200 radio stations plus, more than 200.
Yeah, this is really concerning. This decision by the commission is unprecedented. We've never, at the agency level, adopted a fast track to approve this. We have rules on the books that would have required this Soros-backed entity to go through a national security review before obtaining these licenses. That would have taken 3 to 6 months. But for the first time ever, the commission created a special Soros shortcut. And it's concerning because I think that your last name should not determine how the government treats you. But a lot of American people have been looking at the government over the last couple of years, and they see weaponization. If your last name is Musk or another last name, you get the book thrown at you for no reason at all in many cases. If your last name is Soros, you get streamlined treatment where you get to skip the normal review process. And I think that's the fundamental problem that so many people are concerned about.
Well, that's right. And I'm glad you brought up Musk because it seems like Elon Musk gets much different treatment than other electric car makers. I mean, he's the leading electric vehicle maker, and yet he's not getting the same subsidies that the others get with their unions. And then remember that new speech from the Democrat FCC chair when she floated the word monopoly in context of Starlink.
Yeah, this is concerning. I mean, so look, you go back to the Trump era, we awarded over $800 million to Starlink to connect hundreds of thousands of Americans, including locations that were in Western North Carolina that ended up being hit by Helene. And the FCC back then said, well, Starlink's not really reliable high-speed internet. Well, flash forward to today. Now the private sector and FEMA are rushing Starlink kits into that exact same part of Western North Carolina, and FEMA saying it's reliable, high-speed internet. And so it's this regulatory lawfare has consequences. The New York Times just did a graphic that showed the cavalcade of administrative agencies and law enforcement bodies that are taking actions on Elon Musk that seem very disproportionate and seem like they can only be explained by politics.
Really discouraging when virtually the entire government has been politicized and you don't really know what's actual real and what is just politically laced. It seems like it's all politically laced. Commissioner, thanks very much for your leadership. We're going to continue talking with you along the way. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.